Let's take a look now at the specific role of the task team that has been established to end political killings. And I'm joined by political analyst, Professor Bheki Mngomezulu. Professor, good to have you with us on the daytime update. Now, political killings are not new as far as the South African landscape is concerned. If we think back of the 1980s, they've been a trademark of quote-unquote black politics. Now, when we look at, well, specifically in KwaZulu-Natal and even in the hostel residences, now when we look at the task team that has been put in place now, do you get a sense of historical learnings being implemented in the work that they're doing now, or is it a sense of them literally starting from scratch to try and bring an end to political killings and solve this puzzle?
No, thank you very much for having me, my sister. The issue you are raising is a very critical one, more especially because it involves the loss of lives. Some of these people are breadwinners. Some of them, of course, they have their own families and they have nobody else to rely on. And when they pass on, kids are left unattended to. So it's a serious situation. Ordinarily, you would expect that we should have learned from the activities of the mid and late 1980s to the early 1990s. And then when we do things in the post-1994 era, we should be doing things slightly differently. Some inroads have been made in terms of improving the situation, especially when the task force was appointed. But then one of the challenges which I have at a personal level is that we have instances where our security officials, including the police, are also involved in these criminal activities. So then that raises a question as to how far we can go in terms of addressing some of these killings. And the fact that we are also not able to get to the bottom of what is really causing these killings, it's a serious concern. You recall, as the minister just said, that there have been killings at Inanda, there have been killings in Pietermaritzburg, there have been killings in other parts of the country as well. And then one would expect that if we are dealing with a case and then we get to the bottom of what happened, we should then use that as an example to then replicate our activities in that case and then apply them in other cases with the hope that we'll resolve the cases. But very little has been done in that case, in that situation. But the task force, I would say they've done something, but there is still room for improvement given that these killings have not stopped yet.
And perhaps let's take a look at the reasons why the killings haven't stopped. You mentioned the involvement in some instances of security personnel or police officers. But if you could break down for us the environment, the existing environment that allows these political killings to continue unabated, even in quote-unquote modern-day politics.
It's a combination of factors, my sister. One, you will know that in the tax industry, for example, killings have been going on unabated for quite a long time. And then before we could resolve those killings, you then also had these killings that have been happening, especially in the hostels in KwaZulu-Natal. But even more importantly, we have killings that happen because of intra-party squabbles, whereby people are vying for positions and they kill one another within the same political party. And then to complicate the matter even further, we then have inter-party killings where party A kills party B, which is the same thing that we saw happening in the early 90s when we were made to believe that the ANC was killing the IFP or the IFP was killing the ANC. In recent times, we have seen situations in places like Hinjanga, for instance, where you found that SACP members are killing ANC members and vice versa. So the situation is complex. And for you to get to the bottom of what is really happening, you need a task force that is reliable, a task force that is clean, a task force that is well-resourced. And at the moment, I'm doubtful if our officials are clean, given the instances we keep hearing that they also collude with some of these criminals. And then, of course, some of the people might have differences long before the election, but when the killings happen around the election, it's easy for us to then say these are political killings. Let's take the case of Shangase, for example, this EFF candidate who has been killed recently. He was a politician and someone in good standing in the EFF, and then, of course, he was also associated with the tax industry. So then he has been killed. And at the moment, we don't know why he was killed. Was he killed because of issues that are related to the tax industry, or was he killed because of his political activities, or did someone just kill him for any other reason? Until our security forces get to the bottom of this, then we are not going to know exactly how to contain the situation, because we'll just be guessing, shooting in the dark, as it were.
As I let you go, Prof, is there any power in the hands of the voter? Are they able to either withdraw their vote or to change their vote to perhaps individuals or parties that they feel are not implicated in political killings? Does this even impact people on a psychological level and even affect their vote? What have you found?
You know, in theory, voters do have a right, they do have the power, they can change leaders. But in reality, this does not happen. And that is one point. And then the second one is that the fact that we have certain political parties that are implicated in political killings does not necessarily mean that the ones that have not been implicated yet are clean. The problem is, if you are the incumbent, you are on the firing line, and all eyes are on you. The moment you leave the scene, somebody else occupies that seat, will sit with the same problem. So I think that it's a societal issue that needs to be addressed at that level, as opposed to just focusing on one or two political parties and say, because we know that you have been involved, then you should be the one taking responsibility for everything. It's a societal issue, and it's not going to disappear overnight. It will take time and resources for us to be able to address the situation.
Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, political analyst, thank you very much for your time and your insight into what he has called a societal issue.